Welcome. In this video we're going to take a look at the completely free editor for Football Manager 2021. We're going to see how to install it, what you can do with it, and how to actually get the result to be run inside of Football Manager. One thing you need to know, there are two different editors for Football Manager 2021. A free one that's run outside of the game, which is the one we're going to take a look at in this video. There's also an in-game editor that costs money to use that you can use directly inside of the game. And I have another video for that one. If you're interested in it, take a look at the description below and I'm going to put a link to it. So first off, to install the free editor, you need to go to Steam and you could search for Football Manager and you need to go all the way down to Tools. And under Tools, you find the editor. And as you can tell, I've already installed it. You need to click to install it. If you struggle to find the editor this way, you could also go for Games up here. And instead of showing Games, go to Tools. Then you can scroll down until you find Football Manager 2021 editor. After you install it, we're going to run it. Now, one thing that's important to know about this editor is that you don't use it for running saves. This is not the editor where you go into your current save and change things around. For that, you use the in-game editor. This one is to prepare and set things up for a save you're going to start. This editor is much more complex compared to the in-game editor if you try that one out. And I won't go through everything about this editor in this video, because to do that, this video will have to be like 2 hours long. It's going to show you the most basic things and how you find your way around it so that you later on yourself can start experimenting. For showing every single feature, as I said, it's going to be a 2-hour video. One thing you need to do to get it up and running, I've already done that because I've done it before, but it's to load the database. And basically what this editor do is that you create a custom database for Football Manager. And then you can load it into your own game when you start a new save, that instead of using the original database, you're going to use your custom database. So what we can do here, I'm going to, as I said, show you a few things. But as you can tell, for the database we just loaded, we have multiple things we can check out. We'll go for clubs, and we are going to find a club. Let's say we want to find the reigning Premier League champions, Liverpool. So I went for add condition, went for name, I wrote Liverpool. As you can tell, there's a lot of clubs in the world that is named Liverpool in some way. And if you're struggling to find the correct one here is the one on top. You can always sort on reputation, because the biggest club is going to have the highest reputation. Well, we're going to go for Liverpool. And now, as you see, we can edit quite a few things about Liverpool. And also the menu here on the left side. When we were at the database, we saw information about the database, what we could do. Now that we have Liverpool, we have a lot of things we can change for the club. The ownership, the stadium, the finances, everything here is stuff you can edit. You can change the transfer budget. You can change sell-on clauses. You can change the club's vision. I mean, you can really change everything about the club. I'm just going to let you experiment and check around here yourself, see what you can find, see what you can do. But let's step this one up a notch. And instead of taking a look at the club, we're going to take a look at a competition. And for the competition, we could pick Premier League. And start editing the British English Premier League. And this is where things can get really interesting, because you could basically create a new custom Premier League where you could set in special rules, you could set in which clubs should be in. Let's say, for example, you go to teams and we would like to make Premier League a little bit more fancy. So we are going to add, let's say, we want to add a club and we're going to add Real Madrid. So now, Real Madrid is a Premier League club, but this is where it gets a little bit complicated, where things can go wrong. So there is a test competition function here. We can start to test the changes you've done, see how they work. You can click the Premier League. You can create a new test. You could add dates for where it's going to run and see how it works. But for this video, I'm going to speed things up. I'm going to save this database. Save editor data as, and then I'm going to call this one the nice name of test1. And now we're going to notice why or how things can go wrong. So I'm going over to Football Manager, and I'm going to create a new game, a new career. And first off, when we have started, we can't see anything because it says you have selected a custom database. This means you need to pick your team later, and it wants you to go to advanced setup. But let's click database up here, and we can see that the test1 is checked. If I don't want to use my custom database, I need to uncheck it. But we're going to keep it checked for now. And we're going to go to advanced setup. And now we're going to find out a problem with what we have done. So when we go to the advanced setup and we want to add and remove leagues, this should be England. This should be Spain. They both gone. We can't click them. And if we hover this one, if we hover here, we can see that we have 21 teams in the Premier League. There are required to be 20 teams. And of course, if you look at Spain, we see the same thing. But then we have 19 teams, we need 20. So this is how things can go wrong when you use the editor to create custom databases. So what we need to do is, of course, we need to make sure that these things match. So let's say we want to make Premier League even more fancy. Let's add Barcelona too. So now we have 22 teams. To make this work, we need to get rid of 2 teams. But we also need to bring 2 teams to the Spanish First Division for obvious reasons, because that one needs to be 22. So we could go back to the database. We could pick competitions and we could go for Spain. It's called First Division, I believe. Yeah, Spanish First Division. Then we can start at this one and we could add teams. And then to make it easy, we could of course bring 2 teams from the Premiership over here. Let's say we feel like we could... Newcastle, I think they should do really nice in Spain. And we could add another team. We could, why not bring over Chelsea too? So now we added Newcastle and Chelsea to the Spanish First Division, and we have added Barcelona and Real Madrid to the Premier League. So now we could once again save it. And as I said before, you can do some testing of all the changes you've done to test the competition, see how it works from inside the editor. But we're doing it a little bit quicker here. So let's call this one test 2. Let's get back to the game. Create a new career. And of course, you don't want to load both of them. You only ever want to load one of your databases. And now, if you go to advanced setup, you can see that both England and Spain are available. And to just see this for real in action, let's remove the other leagues. And to make it even quicker to start a new save, we're just going to go with the top divisions. We're going to start this one. And it also says here we are using a custom database. Now, to see that it actually works, we can tell here that we are picking a team in England. And we can see that both Barcelona and Real Madrid are teams here in England. Just check it out even further. We can see that they are teams in the English Premier League. And of course, if we take a look at Chelsea, we can see that they are now a club in Spain. And together with Newcastle. And of course, all the players and everything have been moving over to the different nation. But let's get back to the editor to see what else we can do. Another thing we can do to make things a little bit more interesting is we can basically set up our own rules for the competitions. So if you go to rules, add nation rules, and we want to add the current leagues, which means we're going to pick this one to add the current leagues. And let's do this one for England. Now we have nation rules for England. We can see the divisions. So let's say we want to make costume rules for the English Premier Division. As you can tell, it's not much we can do for the Premier League. Well, we could go to rules and go to convert to advanced rules. And now we get a little bit warning that things is going to get a little bit extra complicated. But if we pick this one, now we can do a lot of different changes, set up a lot of rules. And if we change it here, show rules for England to show rules for the Premier League, we get even more options. We can go down to players. We could go down to money. Maybe you want to see how much money do you get for your TV deals or for a match. Different stadium rules. I mean, you get the drill. There's so much things here you can experiment with by yourself. But let's get back to the database. Of course, you could go for people. Maybe we want to find a name and look for Messi. And we're going to pick Lionel Messi. And now you have a lot of things you can start changing with him. Everything from appearance to nationality to his contract. Maybe you want to make him unemployed at the start of a new save. His history, his personal data, all his attributes. And there you see the hidden attributes here. You have the player data where you see even more information. I mean, there's so many things you can change here. And I'm not going to show you more than this of the editor. Because as I said, I could talk about this one for 2 hours. You need to take it nice and slow and experiment. And remember, you can save. So you can create, as I did, different saves. So when you do small changes, if you're just afraid of screwing up, just save pretty often and make it a new save file. So you can always go back to the previous versions. And to find the save files on your computer, if you want to do that, you'll have to go to Documents, Sports Interactive, Football Manager 2021. And there you find editor data, and then you're going to find every save file you've done from the editor. So, my video is not long enough for you. My video is not detailed enough for you. Where can you go to learn even more about this editor? Well, there is a web page. I'm talking about the official forums, not the Reddits, not anything else. These are the official forums from the game's creators at community.cigames.com. And if you scroll down on this official Football Manager forum, you're going to find something called Editor's Hideaway. And if you go here, there's a whole forum just focusing on the editor. You can find so much information here. There's often tutorials, and of course you can ask your questions. If you want to do something and don't know how to do it, this is the place to ask the question. But there's so much information here, so many guides, so many tips. Yeah, you get the deal. But this was the out of the game editor. If you want to learn more about the in-game editor, there should be an image on the screen right now that will take you to my guide for the in-game editor. And if you found this guide helpful, press that like button. And of course, I always love to hear from you guys in the comments. And if you're new here, make sure to subscribe to this channel for more FM21 content. Thank you for watching.